Manuel Ugarte hands in transfer request at PSG after being left out of last night's game in the French league. Sofian Amrabat reportedly desperate to rejoin Manchester United this summer, plus updates on Victor Lindelof and Jadon Sancho's potential exits. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning's live show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,500 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6 p.m. UK time. It's completely free content. Everyone is welcome. Make sure you get involved. Right, we can't do the show without obviously reacting to last night's game. Manchester United obviously beating Fulham 1-0. How did everybody find the game last night? I want you to get in the comment section and I want you to let me know your thoughts on yesterday's game. Did you enjoy it? Who was the man of the match? Could you see a style of play? Let me know. Just give me all of your honest opinion and I will give you mine now. So obviously a win's a win and I think we deserve that win. If you look at the XG, if you look at the opportunities we had, if you look at the possession, if you look at the clear chances we missed, I think we could have won that game 2 or 3-0. I don't remember Fulham having a single opportunity, really, to be honest. Maybe I'm mistaken, but they had that one shot from outside the box, didn't they, in the first half? But other than that, they had literally next to nothing. Bruno should have scored in the first half. Garnacho got that ball squared across from Rashford that he missed, like pretty much an open goal. We could have easily won that game 3-0 last night, I think, or more. So overall, I think we played well. I think we looked confident with the ball. I think Mazraoui was unbelievable. Casemiro looked like his old self. Maguire, I thought, did really, really well. I thought Xerxes obviously coming in and getting his goal, that was amazing. So overall, I was really, really impressed. And I know that some people are desperately waiting on Erik ten Hag's demise. They're desperately waiting for him to lose so they can try and, continue their anger towards him. But for me personally, I only see what I see with my eyes. And what I saw yesterday compared to how we were playing last night, I thought was a massive improvement. And I think we were just unlucky that multiple opportunities we had where we should have scored, we didn't. And that's not Erik ten Hag's fault, is it? Like, Erik ten Hag can't run onto the pitch and make Garnacho finish that opportunity where he should have scored. He couldn't make Bruno score when he had that one-on-one and he should have scored. Like, there was plenty of opportunities. Mason Mount had an opportunity as well after a beautiful bit of play and he should have scored. So overall, I think there was a lot of positives to take from the game. Obviously, it is still the first game of the season. Fitness levels are still a concern. De Ligt's obviously not ready to start yet. Joshua Xerxes apparently not ready to start yet. So it's always going to take 2 or 3 games until our whole squad is back to 100% and available to start. But overall, a win is a win. We're top of the league. I know people are laughing at me, but we are top of the league, even if it is only till lunchtime. And I'm just really, really happy. And when you compare that with the game last season against Wolves on the first day of the season, I think there was a big improvement on that. And I think, there was definitely patterns of play starting to form. As I said, Mazraoui, Maguire, Martinez and Dalot, I thought had a really good game. Onana obviously got a clean sheet, which is good for his confidence. And I think it takes us going into this Brighton game, which is a week today, we're full of confidence. We should have... De Ligt should be available for that. There'll obviously be a couple of other people back by then as well. So yeah, that's really, really positive. And overall, I'm happy. I'm happy with what I saw. Was it the best Manchester United performance I've ever seen in my life? No. But were we composed? I think we were. And I think as the weeks go on, right? As the weeks go on, players will start to come back to full fitness and we will start to see a little bit more. And I think we did dominate that game, to be honest. I'm happy. I think it's an improvement. But you can let me know what you guys think in the comment section. How did you find yesterday's match? My man of the match, I've asked you who was your man of the match. I'm giving it to Harry Maguire. I thought Harry Maguire was absolutely quality yesterday. I think he was an absolute leader on that pitch. And I put this up on Twitter. Harry Maguire, to some people in this fan base, is like a walking meme. Some of the abuse that Harry Maguire has gotten over the last couple of years from certain people is honestly disgusting, I think. And do I think he should stay at Manchester United? Probably not. But the reality of the matter is this. Maguire's got 1 year left on his contract. Nobody's going to buy him. He doesn't complain. He goes and works hard and he proves himself. So yeah, really, really happy for Maguire to go out and have that good performance. It says we've got a new member, but I can't see who it is. So whoever joined the members club, thank you for joining. I can't see your name in the thing. So yeah, well, thank you for joining anyway. But right, let's move on. Lumen says, Kieran, do you think that was Harry Maguire's best performance since he's joined the club? Maybe. I thought Harry Maguire was a real leader on that pitch yesterday. But close second would be Mazraoui and Casemiro. I think that those were the three best players on the pitch yesterday. Casemiro, Maguire and Mazraoui. I thought all three of them did really well. Martinez was good as well. I love Martinez. He's my favourite player. I absolutely love him. But right, let's move on to some more transfer-related stuff because I know a lot of people come here for that. So let's start the show. Actually, before we start the show, I want to say happy birthday to Malacia, who turns 24 years of age today. So yeah, happy birthday to Malacia. Great to see him back in training. Great to see him back smiling again. And yeah, I hope he has a good birthday. So happy birthday, Tyrell Malacia, 24 years of age today. Okay, let's move on to Jadon Sancho and Victor Lindelof then. So there's obviously a common theme from last night's game. There was two players who obviously weren't in the squad. And obviously that was Jadon Sancho and that was Victor Lindelof. Now, Erik ten Hag said that he can only pick 20 players and that this will sometimes be the case where players will be left out. I don't really believe that, to be honest, because, you know, you look at the bench that we had on yesterday, right? On the bench, you had Antony, you had Eriksen, and you had Toby Collier. You had three players there who were probably less likely to come onto the pitch than Jadon Sancho was, being honest, you know? So yeah, I think, to be honest, Jadon Sancho must be being forced out of the club, to be honest. Like, there isn't any other explanation for it. He wasn't injured. And Erik ten Hag, when he was asked about it, simply said, you know, I can only pick 20 players, 11 on the pitch and 9 on the bench. And Jadon wasn't effectively picked, which, for me personally, if Jadon Sancho can't be part of the first game at home after doing a full pre-season, playing most of pre-season, then I think the writing's on the wall for Jadon. Obviously, there was this story that broke yesterday saying that apparently Chelsea want to sign him on loan with an obligation to buy. There is still rumours that PSG are going to come back in for him. I personally think that Jadon Sancho is now going to leave Manchester United. I mean, imagine if you're Sancho, right? You call out the manager because the manager said that he wasn't training properly. Now Erik ten Hag's just gone into the press conference and said that he wasn't picked because he can only pick 20 players. And do you know what I mean? Like, surely Jadon Sancho is not going to like that. I personally think that he's done. I personally think that there was an agreement at the beginning of the summer that said that Jadon would come back into training. They'd make everything look like it was all right. They'd try and find a potential suitor. That favours the club because then effectively you can get a higher price. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, the fact that Manchester United re-implemented Jadon Sancho back into the first team for the pre-season made other clubs think that the situation was all right. It made other clubs think that Manchester United were happy to keep him. But I said this at the very, very beginning because I remember when Manchester United announced that Sancho was back in training, and there were people like, "This is a disgrace. He should never play for the club again. He should be made to go and train with the under-21s." And I agreed with you. But what I said was, I completely agree with your stance that, you know, Jadon probably shouldn't be at this club anymore for how he disrespected the manager, he disrespected the rest of his teammates, and he disrespected the fan base, right? And I said at the time that I think Ineos are very, very clever, that they've probably got them to, you know, make friends, to resolve the situation. But really, probably that was just to try and get as much money for Sancho as possible. Because imagine if we made Jadon Sancho train on his own, didn't take him on the pre-season tour, like, we'd be lucky to do a loan deal for him. Whereas now, we can say to these other interested clubs, Jadon Sancho's an important player for us. If you want to buy him, it's going to be 50, 60 million, you know? And I think that's clever. So I'm happy about that. And I think, you know, the fact that Jadon's already said to PSG that he wants to go there, he's already agreed terms with them. So I personally don't see a future for him at Manchester United. I think even if you think Jadon Sancho's good enough, we've got so many wingers at the moment. We've got Garnacho, Rashford, Antony, Ahmad, Pellistri, Bruno's played on the wing before, Xerxes can play on the wing. Like, we've got 6 or 7 players who can operate on the right or left wing. Jadon Sancho's like probably the fifth or sixth choice now. He's so far down the pecking order that even if, you know, they have made friends, if you can get 50, 60 million for him, then I think you have to do it, don't you? Because we need to reinvest in other areas of our squad. And 50, 60 million would go a very, very long way for Manchester United this summer. So obviously I'll keep you updated as and when we get more news about Jadon Sancho. As it stands at the moment, the 2 clubs that are interested in him are Chelsea and PSG. But I have a feeling that there's going to be more people who come, you know, circling for him later on in the window. I still have this funny feeling that Tottenham are going to go for him. That's just my opinion based on what I think Tottenham need. So yeah, this is what Eric Ten Hag said about Jadon Sancho. So Eric Ten Hag was asked, why was Jadon Sancho left out? And Eric Ten Hag said, he could play, but we made choices that can change in future matches. He says, there will always be a decision. It's survival of the fittest. I can only put 20 players in my squad. So that was Eric Ten Hag's answer in the official press conference after the game. He's saying he could have played, but we made choices. There will always be a decision. It's survival of the fittest. I can only pick 20 players. I mean, is that not a similar situation to how Eric Ten Hag said he wasn't training properly before? To me, that's how it feels like. You know, he's saying he was available, he could have played, I can only pick 20 players, and Jadon wasn't picked. And then when you look at the players that are on the bench, right, you had McTominay on the bench, you had Eriksen on the bench, you had Antony on the bench, you had Collier on the bench, right? No disrespect to any of those players, but you would expect that Jadon Sancho, after a full pre-season, going on tour with Manchester United, would have got on the bench ahead of Antony or got on the bench ahead of Eriksen. You know, we had 4 midfielders on the bench and we had no wingers other than Garnacho. We had 1 winger on the bench and 4 midfielders. Like, it doesn't really make sense. And I just honestly think that, it must just be a way of pushing him out. And I think the fact that he wants to leave anyway probably will make it relatively easy to do. But obviously, I'll keep you updated on that one as soon as we get more news on Jadon Sancho. There's loads of people saying that he's got an ear infection. I've literally got the quote on my screen from Eric Ten Hag. I'm reading it right now. Fabrizio Romano reposted it. The question he's asked, why was Sancho left out? Eric Ten Hag replies, he could have played, but we made choices. That can change in the future. He says, there will always be a decision. It's survival of the fittest. I can only pick 20 players. Those are Eric Ten Hag's words. So, yeah. And, you know, for people who are saying, oh, he might not be fit and all the rest of it, Eric Ten Hag said Mazraoui wasn't 100% fit. He said Xerxes wasn't 100% fit. He said De Ligt wasn't 100% fit. They were still on the bench, some of them, and they still got minutes. So, yeah, he's effectively said that I can only pick 20 players and I didn't want to pick Jadon Sancho as one of those 20 players. That's what Eric Ten Hag has said. And imagine if you're Sancho, he's not going to like that, that's for sure. But, obviously I'll keep you updated on that one. As soon as we get the confirmation on where he's going to end up, I will bring that into here. Right. If everyone could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. We've only got about 200 likes at the moment, and there's over 1,000 people watching. So if everybody who's watching could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. And if this is your first time watching today, please do subscribe to the channel. We're very, very close to 38,000. So let's try and hit 38,000 by the end of today's video. Go and subscribe right now. Let's get over that next hurdle. People in the chat are saying he had an ear infection. He said he had an ear infection earlier on in the week and he was fine to play. I've literally I've got the quote on the screen here from Fabrizio Romano that he's reposted from Eric Ten Hag. He's put it in quote marks. So are we saying that that Fabrizio's lying and that Eric Ten Hag's lying? I mean, I'm literally reading it off my screen. He said he had an ear infection in the week. He's fine now. He could have played. We made choices. That can change. There will be a decision. Survival of the fittest. I can only put 20 players in the squad. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on from that because people are just being... Barney says that that Fabrizio Romano said on his latest podcast that apparently there is now movement behind the scenes for Jadon Sancho to leave. There you go, then. There you go. I haven't heard that before. So... yeah. And as Mark says, you can't risk an injury with a player who you can sell for 50 million. Exactly. I mean, that's the main thing here, isn't it? He's a player who let's just put everything aside, right? We can all agree that Jadon Sancho's future at Manchester United is uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. He might stay, he might go. Manchester United are actively trying to sell him, okay? And if you're actively trying to sell someone, you don't play them. It's as simple as that. You shouldn't do anyway, especially when he's a £50 million player on massive wages. Imagine if he got injured last night and was out for 6 months, you know? So, it's the same with Victor Lindelof. Obviously, Victor Lindelof wasn't in the squad yesterday. He's another player who's in talks with Fiorentina to leave the club. So, yeah, there's not really anything more to it than that. Eric Ten Hag isn't going to say, oh, we're desperate to sell him. That's why he's not been picked. He's just said that, you know, I can only pick a certain amount of players, blah, blah, blah. And I think, as I said a couple of minutes ago, the writing is on the wall for Jadon Sancho. He clearly doesn't want to be here. If you go and look on Jadon Sancho's Instagram, right, on his Instagram, he's not got a single picture of him wearing a Manchester United shirt. Every single picture of him is him wearing a Dortmund shirt. His profile picture is him wearing a Dortmund shirt, and he doesn't have anything in his bio about Manchester United at all. I mean, if anybody can genuinely tell me that sounds like someone who wants to be at Manchester United, like it just isn't, is it? You know, to have deleted all the Man United pictures, every single picture on there is of him in a Dortmund shirt. The writing is on the wall. He'll be trying to push his way out 100%. So, yes. Right, let's move on from that though. Let's go for a little bit on Sofian Amrabat then, shall we? Because Fabrizio's been talking about Amrabat this morning, and he has said that apparently Sofian Amrabat is desperate to rejoin Manchester United this summer. I mean, I'll tell you this, right? Obviously, Fiorentina are in talks to sign Victor Lindelof. If we could get like £10 million for Lindelof and then go and spend that £10 million on Amrabat, I would do that deal, you know, because we don't need Lindelof. We've got Maguire, who I think was absolutely unbelievable last night. As a backup option, I have no problem with Maguire. We've got Johnny Evans, who can do a job. Obviously, we've got Lenny Yoro, we've got De Ligt, we've got Martinez, we've got Luke Shaw, who can play at left-sided centre-back, and you've even got Casemiro as a kind of seventh choice option if you need it. We don't need Victor Lindelof. It's as simple as that. He's got 1 year left on his contract. He's on big wages. And I think that, you know, if you can sell Victor Lindelof, get 10 million in the bank, and then go and bring in someone like Amrabat, I think it would make a lot of sense, you know, just because we do need to strengthen that midfield. And I think we obviously do still need to bring in Manuel Ugarte as well, who we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, Victor Lindelof, another player who didn't feature at all last night. He wasn't even on the bench. And again, another player who is expected to leave the club this summer. So my tea's gone cold already. I don't know how I keep managing it. My tea is just always cold. So yeah, as soon as we get more news on Jadon Sancho and Lindelof, I will bring that to you. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed and make sure you have the notification bell on. I just want to say as well, right, how much of a good debut performance Mazraoui played last night. He was unbelievable. And to think we signed Mazraoui for £12.8 million. Absolutely quality. For a debut performance, for someone who's never even played for Manchester United before, didn't have a minute of pre-season, like, what a performance. Unbelievable, Mazraoui. So good. And it's so refreshing to see someone different to Wan-Bissaka. I like Wan-Bissaka. I do. You know, I thought he was a good defender. But going forward, Wan-Bissaka offered nothing. Progressing the ball, he offered nothing. Whereas Mazraoui, I think he does offer us a lot. So yeah, really, really happy with Mazraoui's performance yesterday. He was, you know, really, really good. Okay, let's move on to Manuel Ugarte then, shall we? Because there's more news coming out this morning. The Manuel Ugarte situation just seems to be dragging on and on and on and on. And I want nothing more than to be able to go live and bring you a here we go. But at the moment, it's still dragging on. Now, this is coming out from Fabrizio Romano this morning. He's saying that Manuel Ugarte is now tired with PSG. He has told them he wants to leave and wants them to find a way to make his move to Manchester United. Fabrizio says that Manchester United and PSG have been in talks almost the whole summer for him. So Manuel Ugarte is at his last legs, if you like. He's at the final straw. He's absolutely frustrated. He's not in the matchday squads anymore, same as Sancho. He's not even training with the first team anymore. He's training separately. Manuel Ugarte is going to leave PSG. I think that's almost a fact. It's just whether Manchester United are going to be the club who get the deal over the line. And I still have this fear that someone else might come in for him. Obviously, Liverpool missed out on Zubimendi. Is there a world where Liverpool come in for Manuel Ugarte? Maybe. I think it's a possibility. He's a similar profile to Zubimendi. Same position, number 6, very defensive. I still think he's going to come to Manchester United, to be honest, because, you know, there's been no links really of him to going to Liverpool. But the point I'm trying to make here is the window closes a week on Friday, literally 13 days until the window closes now. And the price just seems to be staying the same. The problem that PSG find themselves with is that they have sent him away. He's not training with the first team. He's not being picked. So anybody looking at that situation will think that Manchester United have an opportunity here to get themselves a bargain. That's how I see it, because, you know, Manchester United clearly want to move on Jadon Sancho, right? We can all agree on that. We all want to move on Jadon Sancho. But Jadon Sancho is still training with the first team. He was still on the pre-season tour. Manuel Ugarte isn't. He's not training. He's not in the teams. Like, he's clearly being pushed out of the club and he clearly wants to leave the club. So I don't really know how we resolve this situation, to be honest, because PSG are just holding out for this unrealistic amount of money, and Manchester United are effectively saying, we're not going to pay that amount. We're not going to pay that money. So is there a world where PSG say, we'll take Jadon Sancho from you? I think that's probably the most realistic option, to be honest, that we sell Sancho to PSG and we buy and we buy Manuel Ugarte from them. I think that would be the best case for everybody. We know that Jadon Sancho wants to move to PSG. We know that PSG want to sign Jadon Sancho. So, yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. And if Manchester United can facilitate this deal, I would be very, very happy. I think that Manuel Ugarte could be the missing piece of the puzzle. Although, arguably, last night, we have to give Casemiro some credit. He did really, really well, I thought. He looked like the Casemiro of old. He didn't look like the slow, sluggish Casemiro. He looked like Casemiro from his first season. And maybe that was just because of him having a full pre-season. Maybe that's why, I don't know. But fair play to Casemiro. I was very critical of him last season. A lot of the fan base were very critical of him last season. It doesn't look like Casemiro is going to leave. And if we can get Casemiro playing like that every single week, I think he's an asset worth keeping, But I still think we need to strengthen, and I still think that Manuel Ugarte is the player that we need for that position, to be honest. Going forward, anyway. Casemiro is 32, is he? Whether he has a good season this year or not, Casemiro is coming towards the end of his career. We can all agree on that. Yeah, he's 32. Casemiro's 33 in 3 months. And he only has 2 years left on his contract. So Manchester United will be very, very aware that, Casemiro is only going to go downhill from here. I think last season was a bit of a blip for Casemiro, though, to be honest. I think everybody last season was poor. I think this season we'll probably see a bit of a better Casemiro, but it's just whether that's enough to kind of, to achieve what we want to achieve in the Premier League this season. So, yeah, obviously we'll keep you updated on the Manuel Ugarte situation. As it stands at the moment, PSG and Manchester United are still in direct talks. And apparently Manuel Ugarte has told PSG he wants to leave. He's frustrated. So this deal will happen as long as Manchester United can sell a player. Whether that's Lindelof, whether that's Hannibal, whether that's Pellistri. Manchester United need to get some more players out of the club. In relation to people who I think are going to leave before the end of the window, I would say it'll be these 4 players. I think Lindelof is going to go. Pellistri, I think, is going to go. Hannibal is going to go. Those 3 players, I think, will definitely leave. That should be about £30 million worth of revenue. 10 million for Pellistri, 10 for Hannibal, and 10 for Lindelof. And then the big one is whether McTominay goes or not. Let's move on over to McTominay. So the latest on McTominay this morning, this is coming out from Damasio, is that apparently McTominay's agent is now in direct conversation with Napoli to agree personal terms. Apparently McTominay has said that he only wants to go to Napoli. He doesn't want to move anywhere else. I just hope that this happens. I think it would be an unbelievable move for McTominay. I think it would be the best thing for Manchester United. It will allow us to go and get the deals we need to do this summer done. And I just don't really see how McTominay, is going to get much game time next season. If we bring in Manuel Ugarte, right? Manuel Ugarte will effectively take McTominay's position on the bench. If you have a look at our squad at the moment, our bench last night was Garnacho, Xerxes, De Ligt, Evans, McTominay. Hold on, let me do it again. So you can have 9 players on your bench. So our bench was Garnacho, Xerxes, De Ligt, Johnny Evans, McTominay, Eriksen, Collier, Anthony, Bayinda, okay? So you've got 9 players there. I'd say Bayinda obviously should stay on the bench, Anthony should stay on the bench, Collier should stay on the bench, Eriksen should stay on the bench, those 4. McTominay, I think, will go. Johnny Evans will stay, De Ligt will stay, Xerxes will stay, Garnacho will stay, right? And the point I'm trying to make here is, our bench is already stacked now. And you look at the players who are unavailable. Højlund's not there, Luke Shaw's not there, Malasia's not there, and Lenny Yoro's not there. So there's 4 first-team players who are injured or unavailable, who at the moment won't be able to get on that bench, okay? And that doesn't even include Pellistri, it doesn't include Hannibal, it doesn't include Lindelof. So there's about 7 or 8 players at the moment who there isn't even space for them to fit on the bench. So Manchester United do need to move out some players, otherwise we're going to have a problem like Chelsea did, where this season, you've got too many players, they're all unhappy, there's not enough room in the changing room, that could potentially happen because our squad has grown quite a lot over the last couple of weeks. I know obviously there's always going to be injuries. I know, knowing Manchester United will probably have loads of injuries this season. But the point I'm trying to make here is there are so many players like Lindelof, like Pellistri, like Hannibal, who just aren't going to get game time this season and we need to move them on. It's the best thing for every single person. So, yeah. Let's see what people are saying in the chat today. We've got over 1,500 people watching live now, which is amazing. We've only got 300 likes, though. So if everybody who's watching live could do me a little favor and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. We're literally just about to hit 38,000 subscribers. We're only 5 subscribers away. So make sure you go and subscribe if you haven't already. It's completely free content. Everyone is welcome. So go and do that right now if you haven't already. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Ben says, do you think De Ligt will start against Brighton? I don't know, mate, to be honest. I don't know. I honestly don't know. The thing is, right, I trust Erik ten Hag. If De Ligt isn't fit enough to start, then Harry Maguire clearly's proven that he's ready to do it. So would I like De Ligt to start against Brighton? Yes, of course I would. But I trust Erik ten Hag. And if Erik ten Hag says that De Ligt isn't ready to start the game, then I believe him, you know? And we have to do that as well. Until they prove us wrong, we've got to back our team, we've got to back our players, and we've got to back the manager. Right, okay, let's see what else people are saying in the chat quickly. Dave says he doesn't want Amrabat. Yeah, I mean, the thing with Amrabat is, right, he's not exactly the most glamorous name. He's not going to, take us from 8th to 1st, but I think as a squad player, he would offer us something. So that's my take on Amrabat. And I think for the amount of money Amrabat would cost, if we are going to sign 2 midfielders, which we might not, but if we were to sign 2, I think Amrabat would be a decent option, as kind of like that backup central defensive midfielder just to have as an option. But obviously, I think if Manchester United wanted Amrabat, they would have signed him by now. This window's gone on for, the window's been open for 8 weeks. We could have signed Amrabat like 8 weeks ago and we didn't. So I think the likelihood of Manchester United going back in for Manuel Ugarte now is probably quite slim. But obviously, we'll wait and see what happens there. Right, let's see if there's any news that's broken since we've gone live. I mean, the main stories at the moment are Lindelof, Pellistri, Hannibal. Apparently Eintracht Frankfurt are trying to bring in Lindelof as well. Lindelof, I think, is as good as gone. There's multiple clubs who are negotiating for him. Fiorentina, apparently Eintracht Frankfurt. So he's as good as gone. I think Pellistri's as good as gone. I think Hannibal's as good as gone. The few question marks are McTominay and Eriksen, I think. Everybody else will probably stay. So, yeah, we'll wait and see what happens in the final weeks. But I still think there's going to be a lot of business that happens between now and the end of the window. Ben says, Kieran, did you like Joshua Zirkzee interview after the match? Yeah, I like Joshua Zirkzee. I think he's quality. I just think he seems very composed, very humble. He's just likable as a person. I watched quite a few interviews with Zirkzee before he joined Man United, and I just thought overall, I don't know, I just like his aura. He seems like a good person. He just seems like, humble and down to earth and hardworking, and that's what we need in this squad. People like that. Kratos says, what about Collier? He would not get any game time if we signed Amrabat. That's a fair point. Very fair point. I hear you, mate. I hear you. So, yeah, I mean, based on that then, I guess if you sign Manuel Ugarte, then you don't really need to bring in Amrabat as well, do you? I guess my point was, if, say, McTominay left and Eriksen left, then maybe you would need 2 midfielders. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And I would like to see Eriksen and McTominay go in the final week of the window. So, yeah, that would be my preference. But obviously, whether or not that happens is up for debate, But the window is getting very, very close to ending now. So what have we got? Literally 10 days left, roughly, about that. So, yeah. Right, what else have we got in the chat? But yeah, that's a very good point, though, about the Toby Collier thing. I think Toby Collier has the potential to break out into the first team this year. And obviously, you were very correct in the sense that if Sofyan Amrabat was signed, it probably would limit Toby Collier's game time. So, yeah, good point. Thank you for that. Ben says, I thought McTominay was brilliant yesterday with the assist. I mean, yeah. But is that enough to keep him? Lumen says, do you have any criticism for Erik ten Hag for yesterday? I don't think so, to be honest. I thought we would be played well with the ball. I thought we dominated them. We pressed them. We were playing a different formation, which I like to see. We were playing a 4-2-2. I thought we created lots of opportunities. It's not how you can't blame Erik ten Hag that Garnacho missed an open goal, Bruno missed a one-on-one, Mason Mount missed a one-on-one. Is that Erik ten Hag's fault? I don't think Fulham had one clear-cut opportunity to score. and we had probably 4 or 5. If you go and look at the stats, whether you like stats or not, our XG for that game was 2.5. Fulham's was like 0.25. We had 55% possession, which I thought it was an improvement on last year, on what we were seeing last year. And Fulham are a decent side. Marco Silva has done great things with Fulham. He's been there for 4 years. It's not like they're a relegation team. So you need to give Fulham a little bit of respect, It's never going to be easy to beat Fulham, ever. Like, where did Fulham finish last season? They finished 13th, right? Which seems low, but Fulham are a decent side with decent players. And I know it was only 1-0, but the point I'm making here is we should have easily scored 2 or 3 goals last night, and Fulham didn't really have any chances to score at all. So I think the scoreline of 1-0 flattered Fulham, to be honest. And people will say it was lucky you scored in the last 10 minutes and all the rest of it, but I don't think it was lucky. I think, if anything, it was unlucky that we missed so many clear-cut chances. I don't really have any criticism for Erik ten Hag. What can I criticize him on from last night? I don't know. But I mean, obviously, if you want to, single Erik ten Hag out after winning our first game of the season, then that's obviously up to you. But I'm not going to, criticize Erik ten Hag for last night. Why would I do that? I enjoyed watching last night's game. I thought it was good. I didn't feel like they were going to score. I thought we looked composed. I thought we had a lot of possession. And that was one thing that we lacked last season. Last year, watching Manchester United was like watching a basketball game. It was just end to end constantly, and it wasn't really like that yesterday. There was a couple of moments where we got caught on the counter attack, but overall, I was happy with it. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you all have a lovely day. I will be back at 1:30 and also at 6. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe before you go. I hope everyone has an amazing Saturday, whatever you're doing, and I will speak to you all later. Bye for now.